Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I'm going to get into inmate death. Yes, inmate deaths. A scathing report has just come out. Get this, from the Department of Justice about the Bureau of Prisons inmate deaths and how many deaths could have been avoided or not happen. There were 4 categories that they looked at. And now remind you, the Bureau of Prisons works for the Department of Justice, meaning the Attorney General of the United States, who's the head of the Department of Justice, also runs the Bureau of Prisons. After reading this report, and they're going to be in Congress in a week, on the 28th of February, and what do you think is going to happen there? Does the Bureau of Prisons director, a lady, does she get axed like a lot of others? Here's where I'm going to say I think they should, but let me get into the report first. First of all, they looked at deaths. They looked at suicides, homicides, accidents, and get this, unknown reasons. Well, there are 344 deaths in the time period that they took this exam in the Bureau of Prisons, and they're going to go into them. They had 187 suicides. Now, why is that alarming? First of all, suicides are questionable at best. Were they, to call them a suicide, was it a murder? What kind of investigation did they really do? I don't know. But even to have suicides, they didn't report a lot of crimes. The BOP itself, in fact, out of 35% of all prisons did no suicide drills. They have suicide drills. Each shift is supposed to be drilled once a year. 35% of all the prisons didn't do it in years. So nobody is following their own policies. Hear what I just said? They're not following their own policies. That to me is disgusting. And here's what really gets me disgusting. Wardens get bonuses. Yes, you heard that right. Get bonuses. Now, from this time period, from 2014 to 2021, which is the time period they did this study, how many of those wardens were either promoted to regional directors or got excessive bonuses when they find out all of this stuff has not happened after they did this report? So if I'm the Attorney General, I am laying down guys. They're gone. I'm changing people. If you can't follow your own policies, most of the deaths, listen to this, could have been prevented with proper medical care, proper monitoring, have cameras. Most facilities don't have enough cameras, and cameras are so cheap. I don't get it, why they don't have cameras. That will boggle my mind, except for the fact that I think they don't have cameras to protect themselves from abuses and stuff like that, which will be a video coming about that as well. But get this, homicides were the next biggest cause of death, and they were 89, followed by 56 accidents, and I don't get this one, 12 unknown. What's unknown about a death? An autopsy is going to say heart attack, arteries, whatever it's going to be. You would think would have a total view on that. So I'm not getting that part of it. So it's kind of a little bit confusing there. Now, Dick Durbin, who's from Illinois, is a senator, is going to have a hearing on the February 29th on this. And I hope I can watch it somehow, because I'd love to see the questions they ask and see if they're, I call them softball questions. Now, I'm pretty happy about Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia talking about Hazleton and about the problems there and about the deaths of inmates there alone. So this is going to really culminate into a bunch of senators, I think. Now, Joe Manchin's a Democrat. He caucuses with the Democrats, but he's an independent, and he's also a very middle-of-the-road person. So I think he's going to be really good for what's going on. Listen, I hope they don't play politics with this. This is people who died. And they could have been prevented by either figuring out who is suicidal, mental health challenges that they have, they don't do. Also, most of these cases, this is what's really, really scathing, if you want to call it, to me. Out of these people who died, most of them lived in single cells. Now, if you're living in a single cell, you're more apt to commit suicide. Obviously, you don't have anybody to talk to. There's somebody there to watch you, make sure you don't do it, talk you down, so to speak. I mean, I remember talking people down when I was in prison. I was about to commit suicide. People know that if you know my story. And I was just lucky. I had nobody. I was in the hole in a single cell. And I'm lucky I didn't commit the suicide. So I consider myself one of the lucky ones, if you want to call it that. Now, there has to be an address. Here's the biggest problem I have also. Most of the deaths, they already have policies for. Now, they're complaining they're understaffed, that they're overworking people. I get that part of it. Well, get some money. How about taking the bonuses away some wardens and giving it to guard salaries? That's number one. I don't know why. And I know only this because I know the union president who's in the union. I'm going to have to interview him again with all this stuff going on. Very good guy. So I couldn't believe some of the stuff I also read about this and how the failures are. Here's one report. It's deeply disturbing that today's report found that the majority of BOP's non-medical deaths in custody could have been prevented or mitigated by greater compliance with BOP policy, better staffing, and increased mental health and substance abuse treatment. Think of what that just said. Think of that. You just got to follow your own policies. Now, what happens to these people when they don't follow policies? Now, remember, you're not talking about people that all had life sentences or even a death sentence on death row. We are talking about people who had outdates. Most of the people were in medium security facilities. That's another thing. Now, yes, there's more medium facilities in the prison system than there are high, but still, if you're in a medium facility, you probably don't have life, number one. And you got a date of some sort. What made you do it? I mean, obviously, I understand the pressures of prison. I understand the environment you're living in and how stressful and how depressing and everything else can go. But they have policies in place to prevent this kind of stuff. Here's the problem. They're not following their own policies. And that is what really pisses me off, to be honest with you guys. It's not just what I'm reading. I'm reading, one combination. It said, DOJ Inspector General Michael Horowitz said, today's report, and that just came out, identified numerous operational and managerial deficiencies which created unsafe conditions prior to and at the time of a number of these deaths. Wow, if he doesn't fire people publicly and show that they do care, at what point are the citizens going to say this is all bullshit, it's all grandstanding, and why are they doing it now? Did somebody's high-profile son die? I don't know. The media were more savage. A combination of negligence, operational failures, and blundering workforce has contributed to hundreds of inmate deaths in federal custody. Now, that's a Washington Post report, and that is crazy. CNN said the Justice Department itself has issued scathing rebukes against BOP, outlining serious mistakes that have led to the deaths of high-profile inmates like notorious Boston gangster Whitey Bulger, convicted murderer, and also Jeffrey Epstein, who died in suicide in jail as well. But the circumstances that led to Bulger and Epstein deaths are emblematic, which means common, of wide-ranging and recurring issues within the federal bureau system that affect hundreds of inmates across the country. The DOJ Office of Inspector General found in its report that outlined a system in crisis failing to protect its charges. Remember what I'm saying, guys. This is monumental because it's the DOJ themselves, the Inspector General. Now, as a person who was in prison for a long time, I used to write the Department of Justice, the Inspector General, and ask for inspections of this prison or that prison, because when I was being abused, nobody cared. I'm at least seeing more, and maybe I'm seeing more because more and more people are taking note to what's really going on, because a lot of these people are either low-level drug offenders of that sort, and they shouldn't be in prison as it is. Listen, I'm not one of these bleeding hearts that says everybody should go free. I'm one that believes that prison is for the people who are a danger to the community, danger to somebody, and offenses that do need to be punished. You do need to be punished. I'm not here saying I want a free society. I think drugs should all be off the board. This is crazy to put people in prison for drugs. It really is crazy. Until it happens to that judge's son, or that judge's family member, or that chief of police, or that whoever it is, until it happens to them, they're all this high and almighty law and officer. And it's all bullshit. It was all fed to us by government bullshit. And it kind of gets a little bit depressing. Anyway, another report found deficiencies extended to after-action documentation. Listen what I just said. They're not even filling out the after-action documentation. The BOP was unable to produce documents required by its own policies in the events of an inmate death, for many of the inmate deaths were reviewed, the report said. The BOP requires in-depth after-action reviews only following inmate suicides, but not for inmate homicides or deaths resulting from accidents and unknown factors. I love that one. The BOP ability to fully understand the circumstance that led to the inmate deaths and to identify steps that may help prevent the deaths is totally crazy. That there was limited. The report examined 4 categories of BOP non-medical deaths between 14 and 21. Again, suicide, homicide, accidents, unknown. It just blows me away. But the non-medical deaths count climbed 68% between 14 and 21, while the prison population fell 27%. Figure that out. In 2014, there were 38 inmate deaths by unnatural cause. 2014. In 2021, there were 57. So less inmates, more deaths. What's the cause? Obviously, it's people not doing their job. We know that, and that's a big problem. I want you to let me know what you think about inmate deaths and what we should do about it, because it's getting me sick. And when I read this stuff, I have to comment on it, because I was there and I was that close to death myself, and a lot of people know that. I think I'm really lucky, and I am so thankful to all you guys out there who was sticking by me and hearing me rant about stuff like this. But I want to see change. Before I die in this world, I want to see change. I'm telling you, I wish I ran the BOP, because there would be change. I'm telling you, there would be change. Anyway, with that said, everybody, please stay safe. Make good choices. Don't get hooked up into this crap. Our government has failed us miserably in this sense, and it is a human rights crisis. So, United States, you're in a human rights crisis, and if you don't straighten it out, you better do something, because you talk too much stuff about other countries' human rights. So let's see what one of our politicians do about this. Have a great day.